Welcome to day 2 in American history. This is part B, 2B. So to continue, we're going to look at part B in our notes, Spanish settlements in North America. Make sure you have your notebook out, date your notes, be ready to write these down. Pause the video if you need more time to write down the notes. Spain sought various means of controlling the Native American population, from colonization to religious conversion and the establishment of trade networks. But their goal was always to the economic advantage of the Spanish. And so you could say that they were exploiting the Native American peoples in order to get an advantage. It's sad in history, and especially American history, we're often going to see people acting from selfish interests. Some exceptions to this are schools founded by Christians. It's one of the good aspects in American history. Note number 1 to write down is that in the late 1500s, Spain attempted colonization rather than conquest and subjugation. So at first, they were hoping to establish colonies that they would be the governors of. And when that didn't work very well, then they resorted to more violent and subversive means. Note number 2, these initial settlements, such as San Antonio, Santa Fe, think about the different names in America that begin with San, after certain saints, San Francisco, St. Augustine. These settlements focused on agriculture and had the Catholic Church at the core, seeking Native American converts to Christianity. The third note to write down is that the most common settlement was the mission, like San Antonio, and it was hoped that Native Americans would get to know Jesus as Savior and Lord, and presidios were also built to try to protect Spanish holdings from other foreign bodies like the British and the French. And a lot of times, some of the leaders of these expeditions were corrupted by their desire for power and wealth, even if there were very sacrificial and noble priests and nuns that went along with the group as well. The fourth note is that in 1565, Spain established a major settlement at St. Augustine in Florida. The fifth note, in 1598, the Spaniard Juan de Oñate established Santa Fe in modern New Mexico, hoping to convert Pueblo Native Americans and to find gold. And I had the opportunity to visit Santa Fe in March 2020, and there are still statues and plaques commemorating how old this city really is. In downtown, you can see this flat building, which was the Spanish mission, stretching out. And today, Native Americans still gather under the auspices of this one-story large fort structure, and they sell silver goods. And I was able to buy some beautiful silver earrings and meet a Native American woman who is a Christ follower. And she talked about her journey from animism and worshiping ancestors to worshiping Jesus. So that was awesome to meet her. Her name is Mary. The sixth note to write down is that Spanish attempts to change Native American beliefs, including religion, gender roles, property, often understandably led to Native American resistance and conflict. And here is a quote. I'll let you read this if you would like to. So it kind of talks about some different things that Bartolomé de las Casas came across, particularly in Cuba when he was living there. So you can pause this and read this if you wish. The seventh note to write down is that in 1680, the Pueblos revolted, killing hundreds of Spaniards at Santa Fe, and this is known as Pope's Rebellion. And Santa Fe is really a hilly, mountainous town, as you can somewhat see from the elevation changes in this picture. The eighth note to write down is that after Pope's Rebellion, the Spanish sought less conflict by promoting assimilation, intermarriage, and less oppressive labor systems. So there was a time of harmony between the Spanish settlers and the Native Americans, and this was certainly a blessing. Part C that we're going to talk about is Europe and the fruits of New World empires and triangular trade and the Columbian Exchange. The big picture is that Europe enjoyed almost entirely positive consequences from the Columbian Exchange. It's another way of saying that they were pretty much exploiting. They were taking the good and not